Hey investors, today I am here with Mr. Dylan Eldred. He's a realtor in Houston, Texas, and we're actually going to talk about finding deals on the MLS. One of the topics that we are going to talk about is single family residence, and it's more related to rentals. A lot of people think you can't find deals on the MLS, but me and Dylan here are to tell you that that might not be the case. So Dylan, can you actually still find deals on the MLS?
You can still find deals on the MLS, and maybe it's going to take a little bit of searching, a little bit of guidance, but you can definitely still find them out there.
Exactly. So we were actually just looking the other day and we were able to find a couple ones. But before we get too far into it, let's figure out what would be considered a deal. So to you, Dylan, what do you to consider a rental deal that you see?
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit different for everyone based on their criteria, but for me, a deal is anything that can cash flow, anything that after all the expenses, you're still making some money at the end of the month.
Exactly. And see, that's a huge topic where I know we've had customers and we've even talked about people where sometimes they think that they're breaking even or they're considering one of the methods that they're looking to rent cash flows. But, you know, I'm a risk type of person. So I would always say reduce your risk and have multiple options where if you rent it, whether it's a traditional rental or what Dylan likes to do, short-term rentals, or you're doing medium-term rentals, or even if you need to exit out of it, definitely try to reduce your risk. That way, you have different options and you never get stuck in a property. But I guess to preface a lot of this, I think the biggest thing is knowing your market. I mean, what are some markets that you're seeing, Dylan, that you consider are good areas for rentals?
Yeah, so I like to focus a lot on Southwest Houston just because that's the area I know the best. But even just in that one part of town, you have different neighborhoods that you can still find some good deals, such as like Missouri City and Stafford. If you go a little bit southwest, and then over also towards like Sunnyside and Southside Houston. There's a lot of cool properties over there as well.
Cool. So I'm opening up a map here, but also too, the map that I use personally is Zillow. People think I'm crazy, but there's a reason I use Zillow because it does give you a lot of information and it gives you the ability to sort through data and sort through properties and locations much quickly and much more accurately than other places and other systems. So let me show this real quick. Let me share my screen. Cool. So right now I've got Zillow open and it's just everywhere, right? I've got all kinds of stuff. But let's say, what is the average, I guess, purchase price that you're seeing for people shopping for rentals?
Yeah, the average purchase price in that part of town is probably like in the low 200,000 range, where that's probably, maybe between 200 and 250.
Cool.
You may still be able to find something that's a deal around that price.
What we're going to talk about is houses and townhomes. We'll get into multifamily and condos, which are different than townhomes in another video. But let's take a look in this area. So knowing your market, I think, is really important. So for me personally, I've looked a lot in this Rosenberg, Sugarland area. So let me get rid of these schools because we don't want these schools clogging up the map. There we go. And I think this is actually a really, really solid area. One of the ways that I search is I'll basically put in that price point and just do a quick look and see. I mean, as I move the map around, there's some updating, but look at this. This is $125,000. That needs a lot of rehab. But this is how you can quickly sort through and kind of move through the different neighborhoods and just get a feel. So I know personally that anything in this area under 200 grand right now is probably a really good deal. And then Dylan, I know you mentioned Sunnyside. What would you consider be a good price point for kind of this Sunnyside area in South Houston?
Probably it'd be a little bit lower, so maybe under 200.
Okay.
That might be somewhere to look to find a good deal over there.
Awesome. And what we're going to try to do today on this video, if we're lucky, we're going to try to find a property. But before we do that, we should know what kind of numbers that we're going to need to run, because I know numbers is really what's going to determine and drive this decision. Me on the mortgage side, I know a lot of people think rates are a big factor. And even Dylan on the real estate side, I know you can attest, people think price is a big factor. And those two are, but what you really need to remember is the cash flow, what's important. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it costs $800,000 or $100,000, or it's a 2% interest rate, or it's a 100% interest rate. As long as the property cash flows, you're going to make your money. And if the interest rates are high, you can always refinance and drop lower. If you get low interest rates from the get-go, that just increases your speed. But we'll also talk about navigating risk on rates when we open up some properties. So Me personally, I do things very quick when I come to running, property rentals for rents, calculating rents. And I cheat. I do a lot of cheating, and I try to figure out how fast. So, for example, I know out in here, like this 176, that's a 2-bed, 1-bath. That might be a little too tight. But let's look at this 187. I think we looked at this the other day. This is a 4-bed, 2-bath. Now, what I'll do is I'll scroll down to this mortgage section, and I use this section all the time. And this will give you an idea on the payment. But the problem is Zillow does like to advertise. And since they're an advertiser, they're going to give you rates that aren't necessarily available. You can do this at 20 if you're purchasing 20% as a investment loan. But I'll always take this rate and I'll add an additional number to it. So it's 5%. I'll put 6 to be safe. Mm-hmm. Now, where that's going to take my payment is at $1,338. Now I'll take that $1,338, and what I'll do is I'll quickly flip this over to the for rent section. I'll take this out.
And this part's key. Knowing the average rent for a 3-bed, 2-bath house in that area is going to really be able to help you know when something's could be a deal. So that way you can eliminate kind of like the noise and focus on what actually might be a good deal for you.
And a good point to what you said. Dylan said 3-bed, 2-bath, and I think that's a huge sticking point, because I think most properties you're looking at to invest must at least be 3 bedrooms. You can get away with 2, but 2 is a lot harder. 3, 4 is usually the sweet spot. And there are the bigger things if we get into short-term rentals where you can take advantage of those. But while you're looking, make sure that you're doing at least 3, because even that property was a 4-bedroom. I'll still compare it to a 3, but I'll never take a 2-bedroom property and compare it to a 3-bedroom, because you'll probably never find a 1-bedroom. There may be out there, but it's very rare. So try to stick in that 3 range. But if we look at this quickly on the map, everything's going for $1,600, $1,700. Now, what is the cheapest? This is $1,200 here. That's a 2-bed, 2-bath, kind of what we talked about, right? So I know if I put 20% down on this property, I would probably cash flow from day one. Now, that's a very fast way to do it. And it's not all that simple, because you do have to factor in things like cost to bring it up to the level of where this $1,600 rent is. I mean, this looks rehabbed, right? This is painted, this has flooring. And so you do have to factor some of those costs in. But if you're a new investor, you probably either want to purchase it as a primary residence and live there and work on a lot of these stuff yourself. And maybe after a year or two, when you've learned how to do some of this flooring, painting, and stuff like this, and the property looks like this, you feel confident, and you usually get a lower down payment. Or even though if you just putting the money down, you can do it, but you'll want to make sure you factor in some of those rehab costs. And some of those costs start to add up, and there's some of the things that start to slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
So personally, this is where I know Dylan has a real good calculator he uses on Bigger Pockets. Dylan, do you want to share your screen and show that calculator?
Yeah, let's do it, because that could be something to look for too, because when say you got a property that maybe it's a new construction, or maybe it's just like really been nicely renovated, you're going to have like probably less expenses and less if they just replace the roof, you're not going to have to worry about that for a while, which can save you on that cash flow. So let's see, what was that house we were looking at?
Yeah, the address is 7729 Sign, S-I-G-N Street. Yep.
Okay, Sign Street.
And that's in Missouri City.
Oh, it's in Missouri City. Okay, there we go. Missouri City. So the cool thing about Bigger Pockets calculator is that it can actually upload some of that information for you. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but it's pretty cool. And I know you can use these calculators for free. I think it's 5 times a month. And then to use them more often, you need the pro membership to Bigger Pockets, which is what I have right now. But let's go ahead and what did we say about 179 was the purchase price?
This one's saying 187.
187. Okay. 187,000. So let's just put in, at the asking price right now. Alex, what do you think we should estimate for closing costs?
I put $4,000 in there to be safe.
$4,000. Okay, cool. Let's say I will not be rehabbing the property, because it looked like it was in pretty good condition, right? Or were we not able to tell?
Let's do both. Let's do it right now without it and say it's in okay shape. You can get a quick renter in there, but if not, we'll come back.
Okay, cool. So then we'll go down. We'll say we're putting 20% down, and then you said the interest rate.
I put 6. I just
put
added
6.
1. Yeah, 1 to whatever was on top of the thing.
Okay, and let's say we're doing a 30-year loan at 6%. Okay. So it says the median rent for this property is 1,500, but what did we see in there? So that's kind of nice. It actually just gives you even an estimate, but I think that might actually be a little bit low based on what we were seeing.
Yeah, we were seeing 16 to 1700 or something, just kind of around 1600 was kind of the lowest we were seeing with
Was
things
that
going
home?
to.
Was it a 2-bed or a 3-bed?
No, this is a 4-bed, 2-bath.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah.
so sometimes the bigger pockets rent estimates can be good, but you can see they're actually we're comparing it to 2-bed, 2-bath nearby. So they actually weren't really looking at the right stuff there. So make sure you double check. You can kind of use this as a guideline, but double check to make sure. So what do you want to say? 1650, maybe we'll kind of average it.
Okay, that sounds fair.
Because we were looking at 16 and 1700. Okay, next are expenses. So property taxes we have to look at.
And just so everybody knows, we don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah.
We've never ran this property. We have no clue. So this is also us experimenting to see if this one worked. But okay, so property taxes on that property, a year. Wow, it's cheap. 23. Oh, this is old. This is from 2016. Hold on, let me, I can get you the exact property taxes on this.
And while Alex is doing that, that's something to look for as well, are the property tax rates, because, you know, I work a lot in this area, and even between Stafford can be as low as 1.9%, and then you go to Missouri City and it's up like 2.3, 2.4, and that could actually be a big difference for you and your investment.
It's saying 2824 a year.
Okay. 2024 a year. What do we put in for insurance?
I put $1,200. It's not too big of a house a year. Yeah.
1,200. Okay, and then so here's what I like to do. If it's, you know, a nicely renovated house, for repairs and maintenance and for capital expenditures, I usually like to put about 5%. And then kind of the worst condition it's in, the higher I'll like have in reserves. So that house looked okay, right? It looked pretty decent.
Yeah, we'll try it. I mean, for repairs and maintenance, is this a percentage or how does this work? It seems
percentage
per year. I mean,
yeah, it's percentage of the monthly rent. So maybe we'll put, let's just start with 5%.
Yeah, I was thinking 5%. That makes sense.
You're putting away $80 a month for repairs, and we'll also do CapEx. So repairs are little things like you have to fix the leaky faucet or whatever. Capital expenditures are going to be more bigger things that you might not have any issues with for 15, 20 years, but if you hold the property long enough, you might need to get a new roof or, you know, the new HVAC system. So you can want to put some money away just for when those things can come up. So we'll just do 5% again. And then vacancy. This one's always interesting. Right now I see that rental homes are getting filled very fast. So Alex, what do you think about vacancy?
I don't know. I feel comfortable at 20% a year, but that's me on a lender side, right? We use 25, and I know it's also short on the market. So personally, I would factor in 25, but it's probably a lot less than that. Because when you switch renters, you're going to have at least 1 or 2 months between people moving out and moving in, and you might also have, yeah, I mean, maybe even 10%, because if most renters will be there for a couple of years and then move out, and so yeah, maybe 10% to be safe.
Yeah, I think right now 10% is okay. Maybe because right now I just see the competition for like a nice rental home is so high, but yeah, so let's go 10%. So you're putting away 165 a month for any times you have a vacancy. Let's say we're gonna self-manage this property, and then were there any HOA fees for that home?
On this home,
I'm gonna guess no, but I could be wrong.
I don't think so, but yeah, let me see. The HOA, post taxes, insurance. I don't think I'm seeing one, but just put $50 a month in there.
Okay, to be safe.
Yeah. What is that per year? That's $600. Yeah, that sounds about
right. Let's see. So let's do that. And then for utilities, we're going to say that the tenant is paying for all utilities. And that's one difference you're going to see if you did like a short-term rental versus long-term. But long-term, most of the time, they're going to pay all their own utilities. So other expenses, that could be like, there could be some other stuff like lawn maintenance, things like that. But let's just keep it simple. We'll just click finish analysis. Let's scroll to the top. Okay, $38 a month cash flow. So Alex, what do you think about that?
Personally, I think that there should be at least a minimum of $300 a month in cash flow. So it's tight, but the good news is this is profitable,
Uh-huh.
right? Assuming there was no rehab, this is a profitable deal.
Uh-huh.
Um, and again, being somewhat conservative and that it didn't need much work, this is a profitable deal. And in today's market, I mean, maybe $300 is unrealistic, but it's not a deal that's costing you money, right? You're not barely breaking even. And this is with vacancies and a lot of different expenses, right, calculated into this. So
yeah, so we can see like the cash on cash return is pretty low at just 1%, but this was just a random property that we found. And considering that like on our first try, we found something that is like at least a break even deal is pretty interesting. That means that, you know, there's got to be some other ones. If you take your time and you know actually go through a lot of properties, you're going to find one that definitely has even, you know, much better cash flow than this. And then there's also some other things to take into consideration as well. Like if you're buying in an area that might go up in value, that's maybe a conversation for a different time, but that's always something to think about as well.
And so
Go
I know
ahead.
another thing though is our rents are definitely low. And again, this is probably your area of expertise, but I filtered down the bedrooms and bath to exact matches. And
Uh-huh.
now I'm seeing in that area $1,700 to $1,900
Uh-huh.
for very similar age properties that are rehabbed.
So let's pull this up to, let's say it's 1815.
Okay.
Then your monthly cash flow is 170 a month.
So that could basically, right, just making sure your comps are correct. That could be a property that pretty much didn't cash flow or would qualify to one that is almost there, just making sure that the comps were correct.
And there's something to be said about maybe, you know, rents, they're probably not going to keep continuing going up the way they've been going the last few years. But you know, on average, rents will go up a little bit every year. So maybe even if it's 170 the first year, maybe the longer you hold it, it's going to go to 200. And maybe in like year 2 or 3, you know, you could be at that $300 a month we were targeting. So this would definitely, I think, would be one to consider. Maybe it's not a home run deal. It's not going to, you know, change your life, but it could be one that you might want to look more into.
Yeah, and the one thing too I want to say is that when I'm looking at rents, I'm clearly just looking at what's available on Zillow out there, but I can't necessarily see what has rented, which is why I think it's always good. And I work closely with Dylan on these rentals because he'll be able to pull up on the actual MLS what things have rented for. And see, that could even make a bigger swing where maybe a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing isn't even available, or maybe it is available and it's slightly overpriced. So that is another thing I know we wanted to touch on is making sure that your rental comps are right on place. Because let's say our rental comps are on place, but our purchase comps aren't. What if this house is overpriced? Dylan, what if we did a 175 on this, a small discount off of 187? How does that change our cash flow on this?
Let's see, 175. Okay, well, it takes down the cash we need. I might have to rerun the report. Let me see. Let's see how this goes. But theoretically, it should make our cash flow better. Did it do it? No.
No, I don't know if you have to go back.
Let's go to edit. Oh, yeah, let's do this. Okay.
Okay.
We'll put in 175.
Yeah. So
1850 rent. And then if we click update analysis, maybe that's what we need to do. Okay. Now it's 226.
And that was a difference of, was it 187 minus 175 is $12,000, which again, it might seem like a lot of money, but it's not if that property's been on the market for a while, or if you have a really strong offer. Most offers, I mean, would you consider a 20% down conventional loan a strong offer if you were a listing agent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, especially from someone who see, like, when you talk to the buyer's agent, they seemed like they knew what they were doing, and they seemed like they knew what they were doing, so that way they would close. So that's the big thing. You're always looking for someone who's going to actually close on the deal.
Now, what I want to see is what happens if this thing needs 30 grand in rehab? What if we throw that in there? How will that affect our numbers? Because right now it's looking kind of good, but we're also, you know, we're being somewhat conservative on a lot of the numbers, but we're not, you know, necessarily considering rehab. Let's throw ARV. Again, this is where you're going to want to get a realtor, but let me take a look. I'm seeing 220. I'm seeing 220 to.
Yeah, and Alex, I appreciate you doing this because I'm looking at the calculator, so I'm not looking at the other property comps. But when you would be doing this, or your realtor would be doing this, they would be taking a little bit more time than what we're doing right now. But let's. So what are you seeing, kind of like just off the top of your?
I'm seeing, so there's a, okay, so that house is a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,300 square feet at 180. There's one that's 2,000 square feet at 220. That's not, it's just cleaned. And then there's another one that's a 4-bed, 2-bath at 2,000 square feet. That's 260. Personally, I would say this is probably, here's one at 280. These are kind of big. Well, this one's 298 and it's a 4-bed, 3-bath at 2,000. I mean, I think you probably could get closer to, you know, let's just say it's 220 on the low side of things. I mean, again, if I had these numbers don't work, but I've never ran these kind of cost analysis. So, and let's say it's 30 grand to pretty much remodel and make the inside look real good to bring in a strong renter. These numbers in my head make no sense. Like literally, like a lot of the investment deals I run, I don't think I would consider this a deal, but on the monthly cash, I'm just curious what'll happen.
So, oh wait, we have to bring up the rents though. So what would the rents be brought up to?
Let me see. So let's say if the rents, what is this one? This one's $2,200 and it's not even nice. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. It's pretty close.
So should we say 2,200?
I think that's too high, to be honest. Let me look at this one. Well, this is a 4-bed, 2-bath at 22. Let's just do 2,000. Let's say we can get just a little bit more. 2,000, because most of these houses are a little bigger with better square footage comparatively. But 1,800 is on the of not remodel. It's just a simple thing.
So now you're making 374, and so you've put in more cash. So your cash on cash return is a little bit lower, but you're making, now you have that cash flow that you're looking for.
So we're in this, let's say we're at this property 175 plus 30 grand. We're in this thing 205, and it could possibly worth 220. Now I think what I was looking was the average, what is it? House appreciation, right, is about like 5% a year, I think. Or what do you, is that right? Or is that a month? I can't remember. I think it's a year.
Are you talking about right now, or kind of like over?
No, not right now. Before right now.
Yeah, I think it's been about in Houston like 3 to 5% is a pretty fair estimate. Okay,
so let's. I mean, if that's the case, you're probably going to be 3 years, so you can you'll be at 70-80% and almost break even. So you know, closer to 4 or 5 years, you could you could think about looking at doing a cash out. But what I like about this calculator, it has a 5-year annualized return of 15%. I mean, is that 15% on the cash needed for this deal on that 70 grand? Is that what that is?
That's on the 70 grand. So that's, I think what it's saying.
If you invest 7 grand, you make 15% on your money. Is that what that's saying? It looks like
after 5 years.
5 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yes. There usually is a chart. Yeah, down here is where you can see they look at your equity. And with the nice thing about doing that rehab too is theoretically you've built some more equity, made the property more valuable than the amount you spent on repairs. So that's cool too.
Scroll down here. This is interesting. I'm curious to see, does those percentages show up here?
Yeah, so here they're doing, it looks like it's about like a 4 or 5K increase just every year is what they're having on property value. And since we put 20% down, you know, we have that equity and the equity keeps going up, and we've built some more in with the rehab. And at the same time, the loan's going down.
On this property, you got 70 grand in, you have 80 grand equity. So from day one, you have 10 grand in equity
that you made
on the property. 10 grand. And if you were to sell it, it's saying you'd make 15. I don't know how accurate that's including the whole commissions and closing costs. But keep scrolling down on this chart. This is okay. So on year one, you'll make 31% on your money. So year two, you're making 20% on that for that year. So it starts to it starts to dwindle, but your profit, granted, I mean, even these numbers aren't.
It's
Oh,
I think it's return on equity. Is that what they're doing?
but even then, what kind of investment vehicle could you put these numbers in? And then could you walk in on year one and have 10 grand? Now, this isn't, to preface a lot of this isn't the traditional type of flips and rentals that most investors are doing in Houston, right? There's a different type of method on recycling capital, and we'll do another video on this. But I've never broken down the numbers like this on this calculator. But what's crazy about this deal is it's a random house. Day one, you'll have 10 grand in equity. The money people might say is trapped because you can't get it out unless you sold. But at the same time, if that money was sitting in a 401k or in some type of other retirement vehicle, that's not obviously going to earn you 30% or 20% in the first 2 or 3 years. I mean, you could probably, where's the, let me see. So you can do,
go ahead.
Yeah, you can do cash out. I mean, you wouldn't even need to do a cash out. You could sit on this thing for 5 years. You'd make your money after 5 years if you were to sell it. You'd double your money because you get 50 grand out if you sold it.
Let's look at, so from the start, you're making almost 5 grand a year. And then say you did that you just held it for 10 years, and for 10 years, you're making, 5 to 6 to 7,000 a year. Then you sold it. And this is kind of a rough estimate, but it's saying that if you sold it after 10 years, being pretty conservative on appreciation and things like that, you could get all, $144,000 at the end.
And that, I mean, that is extremely conservative. Can you imagine a house going from 220 to 260 in 10 years? No, that's so much time. So my first house I bought it for 220. Granted, these last 2 years were crazy. I sold that house in 2018. That house to me is worth 330.
Yeah, and I think you can put that in there. You can change. Yeah, this is why this calculator is cool too, is because they only had a 2% annual expense growth. So Alex, what should I put in there?
Here, so let's get real data. So one place that I do go for data is Texas A&M has a real estate investment like research center, and they give a lot of information. So I wonder if they have something on the Houston home appreciation rates for, let me see if they have something on this. And this is for Texas A&M. I wonder if they have something like this. Okay, so I mean, that was last year, it was 15%. So
yeah.
Not, right?
Which is crazy. Yeah.
So Houston home average appreciation rates. Because right now we are one of the hottest markets in the country. And so so over the last 10 years, Houston's been at 5.79%. And we're the top 30% in the country.
Let's just do that 5.79.
We're going to be much higher over the next 5 or 10 years, right? I do want to be on record saying that because this is, again, one of the hottest markets.
But even, wait, is that right?
It is. Oh, no, year 10 is still 268. I don't think it updated. You might have to refresh it.
Let's try that again. So where did that go? Okay. I might have to save it. Okay, 5.79% sales expenses. It should be update. Let's see.
Yeah, that's sales expense. Okay, so its sales expenses are correct.
Is that better?
Try hitting refresh. I don't know.
Yeah, let's try it.
To change it.
No, it's still the same for some reason. Yeah. I don't know why, but well, I could even calculate. Let me just see what it would actually be just on my own. Okay, let me get my phone calculator. And so you don't need too much, like even this Bigger Pockets calculator can give you, so much information, and it's pretty easy just to plug in the numbers and do that. So let's we said it was 220.
Well, on year one at 5%, it'd be 231, which is equivalent to year 3. Year 2, 5% is 242. Year 3.
Yeah, so I don't know. You're not gonna be able to see my calculator, but on year 10, on that percentage, if it went up 5.7%, A year, it's 345,000. So
Yeah.
that's
I
about
mean,
80,000 more. So you're looking at if you sold after year 10, you'd have $200,000.
so this I think is a really good examination of tight deals where if you've got money in another investment vehicle and you want to get into real estate, right? I'm not saying pull out of any other investment vehicles. I'm saying that if you want to get into real estate and you are unsure that if you can find a deal on today's hot market with today's interest rates and prices the way they are, yes, there are deals on the market. Yes, you can take 70 grand, and granted, 70 grand is a lot of money, but you can take $70,000, roll right in, and be a profitable real estate investor today. We'll do another video though on how to recycle capital. I don't know if I've shown this to you, but a lot of the more traditional way that investors I work with are able to take maybe 30 or 40 grand, and that's it, and then they can flip that into 9 or 10 properties.
Are you talking about the BOEGER method?
It's a little different. It's
Okay.
similar. It's similar, but I mean, it's similar, but it's a little different.
Okay.
Usually, because on the BOEGER method, you got to wait 6 months to do a cash out.
Yeah.
I can show people how to do it in 30 days as long as the rehab's done, and so now you can skip that. But man, look at that. That is that's pretty amazing. Do you? I mean, we went through this pretty quick. Do you want to see if we can find one more?
Yeah, let's do it. I think we got time for one more.
Let me
let me stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm just, that one might have been a fluke. Maybe we got lucky. Okay, so let's do your market, Sunnyside, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Sunnyside.
Oh, it's down.
What is the average price you're seeing over there?
I mean, yeah, a lot of, you're saying for rent or for
purchase?
Purchase. A lot of them are like around 200.
Around 200.
They're kind of it's a very interesting area because you have a lot of older homes, but then you'll have like some really cool new construction in there as well.
This is 164 with the price increase. Oh, this is why I don't want this. We want 3 or more. The bathrooms aren't that big of a deal.
There you go.
Okay, I was like, why is there nothing? 170. So yeah, I think you're right. 200. I'm seeing a lot. This is like 290, 225. This was 160. This is cheap.
Yeah.
This doesn't even look like a house though.
The rents are going to be lower here too, so that's also something to consider.
What is this? 5915 Beldar. That's funny. I'm doing a deal on a house just right up the street from this. Okay, so this one's a little rough. This is 204. This looks kind of like a nice. Let me see. This 158. Ooh, that's like a shed. Let's see. 150 grand. That's fully rehab. And so what I'm looking for when I'm looking for something that hasn't necessarily been rehabbed. It's kind of old. It's kind of rough and beat up. I mean, this at 155 is not a bad deal. 1,300 square feet, 3 bed, 2 bath. Another feature that I do like is I do like the neighborhood feature on Zillow. Because this will just give me just really, really bad rough numbers. But if I'm seeing 170, 170, but I'm seeing 140, if I'm usually like the neighbor's house, 139 is what I want to buy. So just an idea. So what is rents do you think in this area?
Ooh, that's a good question. They're definitely going to be lower than like in Missouri City. 3 bed, 2 bath. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I can't screen froze.
Okay, for rent.
This one might be too tight. I feel like we need something cheaper. But let's take a look. This is mortgage. Right,
okay, and I'm just looking at the average rentals right now. Well, I mean, they are lower. They're not too bad. I would say it's like probably like around 1,500.
I mean, this is 1,093, 20% at 6%.
I would say, yeah, like 14 to, I would say conservatively, like, yeah. Some of these houses are 1,400, 1,500.
On the Zillow test, 3 bed, 2. On the Zillow test, we have, right, I'm going to put this in a new tab so I don't forget it. And so let's flip this. Where did that house go? Oops. Oh no, I lost it. All right, let's flip this. It's right there. Let's flip this over to rent. We're doing 1,600, 1,500. Okay. I mean, that's $400 or $500. That's pretty profitable. Do we want to run this into bigger pockets one time?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let me just stop my share. I swear,
Okay.
can you find two? That's pretty.
I mean, to be fair, these are two of the areas that when I'm working with clients, I tell them to focus on, at least when they're looking kind of in South Houston. Those neighborhoods are two of the areas where you're most likely to find deals. But yeah, two in a row. Let's see. Okay, bigger pockets. Let me go back. Let me just get out of here. Let me just start over. Okay. So tools. What's going on? Oh, Zillow or Zoom's getting in the way. Hold on. Let me just refresh everything. Okay, let's just start over. We're going to biggerpockets.com, and I can show everyone how to do this too. You go to tools, rental property calculator, and there's a whole bunch of other ones you can do. One for flipping, short-term rental, all sorts of stuff. So, okay, start a new report. What was the address of that one?
The address is 11307 Lockgate, one word. Lockgate.
Lockgate,
Houston.
Okay. All right, purchase price.
This one's 30 grand rehab also. It's 155.
Okay, 155. Purchase closing costs. What do we say? 3 or 4?
4 grand, yeah, usually.
4 grand. Let's do that. Oh, rehab.
Yeah.
So what are you saying for the rehab or repair costs?
For 30 grand, I like that number. I feel like that's a good number. You can get a lot done. That's not major stuff.
And then what do you see on comps?
In
that area?
I don't know. What do you think a house like that would go for?
New construction is going for a lot over there. And so let me look at some of these rehab properties.
Oh wow, we get the back side of the MLS, the secret club.
Oh yeah, we're in here now. So you got a map feature kind of like Zillow. I kind of actually like Zillow's more. It's pretty good. But yeah, I'm just even looking. So let me look at and we can go to the criteria. We said 3, right?
Yeah, it's a 3-2 at 155.
Let's just even put the same 3-2.
100 square feet. This one is 200,000. This is 210 for a 3-2 fully rehabbed. That one probably was a little bit more. This is 220. Oh, I'm thinking 220 on a full rehab.
220, yeah. So these are new. Yeah, well, this was 235 and it looks
1,100 square feet. Yeah, I'm thinking 220. I think that's a solid number. I mean,
it's nice inside. Yeah, let's do 220. That seems fair.
Yeah.
Okay. 220,000. So kind of similar to the other one, but maybe even more room to make equity after the repairs. Interest rate, we said 6, 30, 1,400. That's kind of what we said, right? But now we repaired it, so the value should be higher.
1,500. I think 1,500 is just to be safe. It's less than our 1,800 Missouri City. Right? Similar value. Property taxes are 2,038 for the year.
That is not too bad.
Yeah, insurance you can put $1,200 in for the year too. I think that's fair.
Okay, and we just rehabbed it, so that's the thing. Like the repairs and maintenance, especially repairs, should be pretty low after that 30,000. We'll just put 5, and 10 again to keep it simple. No HOA. I think that's good.
Yep.
So you can do it pretty quickly, and then I mean, if it's something you're going to go for, you can dig in a little deeper. But right now, 187 a month.
It's tight. It's tight, but let's scroll down. Look at that. The 5-year annualized return is higher than our other. And what kind of equity do we walk in with?
Can we see that down here? Yeah.
96 grand. How much cash do we need to outlay on this? This one should be a lot less because the purchase price is 30 grand less.
Let's see. Where is the cash? Cash needed 65.
The gun was 80, so 15 grand less, and we have more equity.
So, and this is also just doing that 2% appreciation. But even at 2% appreciation, if you sell in 10 years, you have 135 on, then you've put in 60, and you've been making a couple thousand a year. And I think we were a little bit low on the rent. So
Probably.
let's look at 1650 even. Now it's 300.
We're back right there. So see, so that's 2 properties, right? So the other one, I did say we did see it before, and we had an idea, but we never ran bigger pockets, and that one worked. This one we both have never seen. This is a property that was randomly there on Zillow, that both me and Dylan knew that market, and that house was cheap. Dylan's like, hey, 200 grand. This one's 155 is what stuck out to me. And the next thing you know, here we are. Now, again, this is a good way to, again, invest in real estate. I think it's an easy way to invest in real estate. If you know you're going to be spending the money. But again, I think we should talk about the recycling capital on the next show, so we can really get an idea of how people are doing with a lot less. But if you have a retirement account, or you have a windfall of money, and you want to get into real estate, and you want to do it somewhat easy and safe, and one of the quickest ways that you can spend this money, and this is how you can do it. Finding a good deal, working with a good realtor who can find you the properties and the rental comps. That's the biggest ones, is hitting the comps to make sure that everything's correct. As well as running the numbers. You've got to know the numbers. And if you don't know the numbers, you call us and we'll tell you what we do on the numbers.
Yeah, and we have 2 people right here. So if one of us says something, the other one doesn't agree, we can take a look deeper. And that's like 2 set of eyes. So that's always better than 1.
Absolutely. I think that sums up a lot of finding deals on the MLS. Is there anything else you want to touch on or think is important?
Oh, no, I think we did it. I'm pretty, excited, for myself and for my clients to be like, wow, look, we just found 2 randomly. That means, like, the more time that you spend looking, you can definitely find even better deals than that, because that was just us randomly doing this. So if you put in the effort, you definitely could find like some really cool deals on the MLS still.
Dylan, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, if you want to connect with me, you can send me an email. It's Dylan. I'm gonna have to spell this out. Dylan, DYLAN Eldred, ELDRED @exprealty.com. I'm also on Instagram at Dylan Eldred RE. So it's the same spelling, DYLAN ELDRED RE on Instagram. Those would be 2 really good ways. Alex, what about you? How can people connect with you? I know you got a TikTok account.
Yeah, I just started that today, but yeah, just go to alexdoesloans.com. It's the easiest way. My number's on there, my email's on there. If you want to get a hold of Dylan and you can't remember how to spell his name, just go to alexdoesloans.com and message me and say, hey, how do I get a hold of Dylan? And I'll send you his contact info.
I need a catchier website. I think that's maybe that's what I'm realizing now.
Let's do one. Dylan sells houses. There we go.
Okay.
But yeah, check us out, alexdoesloan.com. We'll try to do another one of these. We'll do the recycling capital, and I know there's some other topics that I want to touch on.
Oh yeah, we can get into short-term rental. We can get into all kinds of stuff.
Cool. Well, awesome. Well, everybody, thanks for joining us, and thanks for watching. Please leave a comment for any other information. Subscribe, like the video if it's something you're interested in and want to see more of. We look forward to seeing you guys, and we'll talk to you then.
Have a good one. Enjoy investing.